Hi folks, been out this morning. I bought a fast drying linseed oil. They're about £6. They're quite expensive, £6.99, £7, and a number 3 rigger. So that's a Cotsman, Winsor & Newton rigger. So that'll see how that goes. I'm not on what I'm going to do now. That's my watercolour brush. So I've still got a job of the fast drying medium. Excuse me. I want to do another meadow. I called one Pond on the Moor. Well, that was a good title, I thought. So something similar. I've got it up on my larger laptop, and I want to make some modifications to this painting. I think I had a bit too much sky up here. Well, we'll see how we get on. I've poured out my palette. Cadmium red, ultramarine, red ochre, Payne's grey, cadmium yellow pale, and yellow ochre. The basic palette. I don't really want to get away from Payne's grey. I like Payne's grey for making greens and to modifying the ultramarine, but you can get a bit dark. But I want the light cloud on the horizon coming up to highlight the or to counterchange against the trees I'm going to put in. Alan Owen sent me a load of stuff last week, or this week. Big tubes of yellow ochre, Georgian Rowney black, Payne's grey. Oh, a great big package came. He's not going to do any more oils, he said. So I hope he doesn't change his mind. And he sent me a few brushes too. These are 2 of them. That one needs a bit sticking into the ferrule, so I'll do that. I won't use that one. I'll put that over there where I shall forget that it's there, forget to stick it. This is a nice brush. This is a golden maple. Well, this is a good one for doing trees, I reckon. And this old varnish brush, inch brush, very nice. No solvents, just using a bit of linseed oil with a drop of the fast dryer in it. Clean the brushes with dishwasher liquid, fairy liquid, or Store's own brand of what you wash your dishes with. Not dishwasher, but dishwashing. Right, okay, so let's get started. I'll put a dark sky in first, which I can modify. So just waggle the brush about a bit. Not too much oil. If you have it running down, it'll get a bit slippery. There used to be a brush mark there, but never mind. Yeah, I've been to an art shop today to buy that. A bit of cad red in some of that. I won't worry about going too much near the edge. Okay, that's a start. Right, let's clean the brush in my hand and start in with some light cloud. I think I'll put a horizon line so I don't go down too far, but about there. And we'll probably make it a little bit undulating, more than seen. I'll put a pond. I like putting ponds in. You do get ponds, but the one I called Pond on the Moor is very similar to. Well, it's not very similar, but it reminds me of the boardwalk, a view in Morden Hall Park, where they did the Antiques Roadshow a couple of for a couple of episodes this year. You can't see the houses. It's common land, well, although it's owned by the National Trust. It's a lovely, lovely, fabulous park by English standards or British standards. It's not a huge prairie type arrangement, but it's a flooded area. They call it the Wetlands, and we walk along a fairly recently installed boardwalk, which is absolutely lovely. It's all one way at the moment because of COVID, but we're lucky to have it. It's a wonderful resource, and the trees on the horizon, they blot out the housing estates behind. So I will put a bit of houses. That's sort of just show some on that horizon. Just an impression of houses. Don't let the picture do all the talking. Leave some for the viewer to imagine. Right, okay, bit of red, bit of cad yellow, bit of white, probably a bit too yellow to probably yellow ochre probably better. So let's get some. I think yellow ochre is the way to go. I think not the with the cabin yellow. It's too yellow. You don't really get yellow skies. Well, I suppose you do. Having said that, somebody will say, "Oh, yes, you do." But more ochre-y sky in the UK, I think. Nice clean that off there. Right, there we go. Touch of red. So I'm going to make that blue sky smaller than I had it in the pond on the moor. Touch of red. Plenty of white. Plenty of liquid. I'm going to blend it all as well. Now, I'm going to lighten round here where I'm going to put those houses, so that I can put some red type roofs in. And there's a good counter change to my mix of ultramarine and Payne's Grey and a bit of yellow for my background. Just breaking through there. Just blend it a little bit. Over to black. Okay. Have fun with your paint. Let's put a bit of white in now with some of that Payne's Grey ultramarine. I'm working on a small palette. Just a bit of MDF really. Get off. Okay, let's just darken that Payne's Grey and blue with a bit of white, but darken it to a more cooler blue. A little bit of Payne's Grey over some of that, so it counter changes against the cloud. Okay, I reckon that's looking good. A moment now, clean the brush. I used to, when I did oil paintings, I would use like a jam jar full of paraffin, kerosene, and I would always clean my brushes and sort of dry them out on a piece of towel. Well, of course, over the course of an hour or so, the cloth got rather saturated with the paraffin, kerosene, and it's toxic. And my chest is not very good these days, partly because of that, partly because of the job I did. But certainly the kerosene, breathing that in for days on end, then didn't do me any good at all, didn't do me any favours. So that's why I use what I do. So bear that in mind. You don't need to use solvents with your oil. I tried Zest it, but it's toxic. Somebody said it's a great brush cleaner. Well, it is. Nothing against the brush cleaner, but it's petrochemical. Oh, there's toweling. Bits of towel. When you cut your towel, you get you cut through the weave, the knobbly bits. Oh, I'm quite liking that. Put a bit of red ochre in. Take it back to that burnt sienna prime. So this is a bit of watercolour paper on a, as you can see, on a demonstration. I've primed it with a good dollop of PVA glue and mixed in some burnt sienna acrylic, as PVA is acrylic, and it's a lovely stuff to use. It's cheap. It's much cheaper than gesso. Oh, we want to just get some heavier stuff under there where that cloud is coming through. I don't know if that's improved it or what. Just giving it a bit of life. Now, bit of white, off white. So outlined against, highlighting that cloud. Now it's difficult to decide whether that is a cloud or whether that's the sky, like the blue sky. But it's whatever you want to make it really. But if you want it to look like a cloud, you've got to just put the dark bit at the bottom and maybe the lighter at the top. So let's just blend that a little bit, soften. Oh, I can't wait to get into the so the background, bit that I love. Well, I love the skies, but move the camera, that's a bit better. Okay, so I'm going to use the Wetlands brush here and put in some background, blue, grey, cad yellow, plenty of blue, plenty of plains grey, good with background. Sure, I like that. Makes a bit of cad red with that. Makes it darker. No, I don't think this brush is doing me any favours. It's too regular. Let's use a rougher brush like this, like that one. Better. bit of ultramarine in with this as well. So that's where houses are going to go in there. Now, you don't want to make all your trees the same. I'll get some here. We'll get into the sloppy stuff in a minute. The illusion of detail. Right, it's dark in the base of that. So we can counterchange some meadowy type grasses. Right, there's not enough blue in there. Now these are great brushes. Okay. Now we start with the older. Now I'm going to put a couple of roofs in there. Just loosely stated. And we'll put in some bit of white-ish. It's just an impression, nothing architecturally sound, and just a touch of light. Okay, that's all we need there, just slightly ochre-y. Let's get that horizontal. Okay, that'll do. That's just a suggestion. Now we're going to put in all this lovely grassy greeny stuff now. Bit of red, bit with the ochre. Bit of white to make that nice and light across there, across the meadow part of this landscape. Bit of darker stuff in there. We'll probably pond in. I really like doing these sort of paintings. I've done them loads of times, but they all end up different. I say that every time, but they do. The variations on the theme. But after all these years, nothing really new to say, but I still keep discovering the joy of painting, especially in oil. Oh no, that's not good, is it? Don't like that. Change that. Bit of red in there. Bit of shadows being cast maybe. I don't use enough for cad red really. That sort of already shadowy colour through here, then we can counter change the pond. That's the idea of that. Right, let's get in some ochre. So cheapo brush, look what you can do with it. None of this fiddling around with a little tiny brush to do every blade of grass. Although if that's what you want to do, nothing wrong with it. I'm only just saying what I think. I'll just merge some of that. Now if you want something to show bright, you've got to put it against something that is dark. Let's add a bit of green in there. Bring the changes, why not? Well, that's really just sort of the cadmium yellow. Just making a bit of variety. Oh, just look. Using the size of the brush, just create that illusion of stuff going on. Right, so now we've got this dark here, and under that we're going to put our pond. Okay. God, it's nice to get out. I haven't been. We're in between two local towns. One is Croydon. Now Croydon gets a lot of bad press in the UK, but there are parts of it that are absolutely lovely. And so we've got Croydon and Sutton. Croydon and Sutton. We're halfway between the two. So we're shops for us old age pensioners. We've got free travel in London on trams, but so at the moment they might change their mind when they have to start paying back all this huge debt they've incurred over the lockdown. So we've got a station up the road, about half a mile, just over half a mile away, and it's very convenient to go a couple of stops either way to Croydon, the frequent trains. There's a bit on the boardwalk which is it's got like a terrace, and the kids get there with their teachers and they do a bit of nature watching, see what pond life there is, and all these reeds are growing up around it. I put the houses in because they are there in that particular view, although I reckon just put a little bit in front of them. I'll do. So now, in the autumn, you get these lovely bulrushes with all the tops all going into the background. Oh, I don't really love doing this. It's alright watching me, but you want to do it yourself. And everyone, different brushes. You look when you start oil painting. You get all the expensive brushes, bristles, nylons, flats. But the best work I do with this type of painting. I'm not saying because I used to do this with Venice, but I used to do a lot of stipple on the trees in between the buildings. So that's the brushes in the autumn. From my memory anyway. Just soften all that. We'll try and make some more of this greeny stuff. So let's have blue and yellow. See what that does. you don't really see poppies in this sort of landscape, but I like the Payne's grey. That makes lovely greens. Oh, I get a bit of shadowy colour in there. Remember, when you're looking out there, you're not looking at your feet. You're looking over your feet. You're looking over the foreground and into the distance. So don't make your foregrounds too elaborate, otherwise it competes with everything else. But you've still got to bear in mind this all important thing: texture and tone. Okay, there's some nice light bits in here, just a bit of highlight there. Probably there's a bit more shadowy colour in here. So that on the red side. Counter change. Well, the colour against the red against the green. There's a bit of white to that. So if you want light, you could put dark next to it. Let's just come in with some more dark in here. Okay, well, I quite like that. Seago was a master at doing rushes, but then he lived in an area of marshland in the Norfolk Broads where he could study it. Me, I live in suburbia, London suburbia. Right, nothing wrong with that. Okay, I'll go for that. I don't think there's much more I want to do with that. Maybe just get rid of that shape there. Okay, well there we are. I've got a meadow with, I forgot to drink with rest of my tea. Yeah, I'm going to put that in a mount, and we can see what I've got. Look, I've hardly used any paint. Look, dobs of it. I will cover that up with some cling film, some sandwich wrap, sarin wrap or something like that. Right, okay, let's take these off. Put it in a mount. I just get very excited when with texture. It looks, you know, to somebody who doesn't know, it looks as if everything's been painted with a fine brush, but it hasn't, has it? It's been painted with that. All that texture has been done with very cheap bristle brush by tamping and stippling, creating that illusion. I know that there should be a reflection on that pond. At the moment, it's a brilliant green with algae, but I'm not going to paint it. Artistic license. You'll tell me if I could improve it. Right, okay. Well, let's put the mount on, and that's all I'm going to do today. Because I've got to be cooking. I got 1 kilo bags of mussels from supermarket. The problem is a lot of fish counters have shut down during this COVID. Well, there we are. Let's just carefully clip it, and I'll adjust the camera. Just get that in there. See, already this was pristine yesterday. This mount, but now look, it's getting a bit starting to get dirty, like they all do when I'm around. I work in a bit of a mess. My studio's worse than Francis Bacon's, I think. So well, there we are. We've got a sky. Probably not as bright as maybe I'd hoped, but you've got the counter change. You've got the light against the dark in the sky. You've got the dark trees against the light of the sky. I've got a mid-tone for those roofs and stuff there, and we've counter changed all the way through there, light to dark to light to mid-tone, but we're looking over that. So I hope you like it, folks. I thoroughly enjoyed demonstrating it. Who knows where we're going to go tomorrow. Okay, enjoy your day. Bye bye.